Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana will table the 2026 national budget in Parliament today. He's set to outline how financial resources will be allocated to fund the national government's priorities as outlined by President Cyril Ramaphosa in the State of the Nation address. Investors will be watching closely for signs of credible debt stabilisation, spending discipline and progress on structural reforms. Iman Rappetti in Cape Town now and joins us live for more conversations when it comes to this now. One thing is for sure that the expectation, whether it be from business, politicians, etc., is to try and keep the expenses down and try as best as possible to get more revenue. Where from? Who knows? How's that going, Iman?
Well, I don't know, because we'll find out in about 7 hours' time, I guess, Arabile. But standing here on the ground, in front of the dome, at the foot of the majestic Table Mountain, I can tell you that the fog is thick. And that's the last thing we want when it comes to the budget itself. We need that crystal clear clarity. We want to be able to see the wood for the trees. And I wonder if it's symbolic. You know, I love my symbolism. We're standing here just outside St. Mary's Cathedral on one of the streets flanking the precinct here. It's called Hope Street. We don't want this budget either to be run on a hope and a prayer, seeing as we've got the cathedral and the street sign. So let's talk about those expectations. And I want to make it really simple for the families that are potentially gathered around their breakfast tables. And I mentioned earlier, not everyone's lucky enough to even have a table that's set for breakfast, given high levels of malnourishment in our country, high levels of unemployment, but really, really tepid growth. Simon Schaefer is with me. He's from Deloitte, and we'll talk about their expectations from an economist's purview and whether their expectations would match those of the members of our 405 family that are watching our broadcast this morning. Simon, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate your time. So we had the fiasco of last year. We don't want a repeat. You're not expecting that, right? And when I say the fiasco, we had 2 iterations before we landed on a third. Fresh, GNU, they couldn't find each other. Hopefully this time everything is okay.
Let's hope to pick up on your earlier word of play with the street. I think we won't have this debacle, as you called it, last year, because we're going into elections this year. So I think the parties need to get their act together. And I think they've learned the lesson from last year that in a coalition you need to work together to make things happen.
Okay, talking about making things happen, I mean, we saw over R1 trillion in infrastructure spend. Families around the country would say, well, okay, if we're building stuff, then our kids will have jobs. And yet, when we see the quarter labor force survey, I mean, you know, on the jobs front, things aren't looking great for the country's youngest, the most muscular, who are available to put their talents to work in this economy. So when we hear big numbers and big commitments being made, who's it for?
Well, that's a big question. For me, looking at the numbers, and that's what I do on a daily basis, I get frustrated to see like unemployment going down by 1 percentage point or something. We need to have proper unemployment going down like 5, 6, 7 percentage points to make a dent in it, but we won't see that. You're talking about infrastructure investments. Unfortunately, infrastructure investments take time to materialize. You don't build a port overnight, right? You don't build a street overnight. It will take time for us to see the results of those infrastructure investments. But at the same time, we will have jobs created by these construction projects, as you pointed out.
I mean, I want to use the word moribund when we think of economic growth in South Africa. I think our last number is 1.4% expectations, but we keep perambulating the same sad digit, so to speak. And I was talking with others earlier about the fact that we need really bold, beautiful, creative, innovative ideas to lift us out of 1% into a new growth reality in South Africa. As a numbers guy, what's it going to take?
It will take a lot. So I think looking at our growth of the last few years, last 2 decades or so, it has been very, very pedestrian. We need to think of ways to unlock the power of small businesses. How do we make it more, how do we make it easier for small businesses to operate in this country, to start a business, to get financing for a business? I spoke to my Uber driver on the way here, and he was struggling with his bank. He was complaining about, oh, they deduct some money that they shouldn't be deducting, and now he's spending in time not driving the Uber, but sorting out his challenge. So I think these small things add up. We need to make it much easier for people to operate in this country, operate their businesses in the country, to create jobs and employ people. Small businesses are the backbone of economies. If you look around the world, 50 to 60% of the economies are carried by small businesses usually. Employment's even more, up to 60, 70% in some countries. So we need to unlock those small businesses.
I would say not even 100 meters from where we're standing, down there where you can see some of the Dome staff standing, I had a conversation with one of the CEOs of a small business collective a year ago, because we're preparing for the budget. Said the same thing you're saying now. I could probably count the year prior. Same narrative, same story. Who is not listening? And what should this budget feature to really put a firecracker under the issue of generating and building that momentum for small business? I mean, we have a small business minister as well who's highly criticized for not doing the things that are necessary to get small business going and be that centrifuge for our economy.
To be honest, I think like having extra ministries doesn't solve anything. It seems to be like the default setting to go back and create a new ministry and hoping that this will sort our problems. I think the ministries need to actually be working much closer together. Infrastructure, small businesses, economic development, the DTIC, everybody needs to work much closer together and potentially maybe merge even some of those ministries so that the right hand knows what the left hand is doing, right? On a lighter note, I would recommend that everybody watches Groundhog Day, because that's how I feel, the movie Groundhog Day, if you know it. That's how I feel every year. Budget comes, big expectations, we think it's the silver bullet, but the work actually happens in between the budgets. It's a long period that we need to work. It's not the budget will solve it overnight. And I think we also need to be realistic about that.
Well, the one thing we're tired of, and thank you, by the way, Simon, I'll let you go. I know you've got other people to talk to. So, yes, every year we hear about small business and, you know, get them going. They really are the opportunity for us to get to other numbers and other realities in our economic growth story. But it reminds me, I think it's Einstein who was credited with saying, and again, an oft-used adage, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. From what I'm hearing, we are hearing the same thing over and over. So why are we surprised that we are not seeing a different result in South Africa's economy? We'll talk more about it, and this is our poll really for our viewers today. What should the finance minister's top priorities be? And again, we do this every single year, but let's hear what you have to say. 2026 budget, job creation, service delivery, social grants. We saw, of course, major pushback around raising VAT last year. That was, I think, a battle won for the common man, so that didn't happen as a way to generate more money. Cutting spending. What are your choices? 405 Nation, where you join us from this morning. Scan that QR code, vote. But I want to hear your thoughts. Arbila and Valen will share those thoughts with the nation later at Newzroom 405, hashtag AM Report 405. And again, Arbila, this is what we call the build-up coverage to the 2 p.m. hour. And I wonder what we're really building the country up for, if it's going to be a case of same pudding, different sauce. Back to you.
Yeah, not always as sweet as it always has been in prior years. There seems to still be a lot of positivity when it comes to this budget, so much so that even a credit rating may even be in store as well. The rand has certainly performed a lot better. Markets have looked positive as well off the back of this. Even now, our bond markets, meaning international investors, are looking to invest even further